providence, or was it just preparation meets the right timing?
I think the first question would be, the answer to the first question would be that if you prepare for a thing and work for a thing, if you get good results, it's likely that that's why. I started out saying that I didn't go out making the Black Book trying to make the biggest Nigerian film ever made, but I did say to him at our first meeting that if we do the things that we are supposed to do, if we prepare properly, if we have the right people on the project, all of us will make the biggest film we've ever made before. And he looks at me like, he's obviously done this thing my entire, like, I was 37 then, and he's done it for as long as I've been alive. And he looks at me, and the next question was, how? How are you going to do this? How are we going to do this? And we went into the process of discussing how the things we're going to do to build the characters and make them make them believable. He was going to train with a U.S. Marine at the time. He was going to get into the gym. He's going to go diet. He's going to like live with this character for 6 months. So I remember the first day he got on set. Every time I have met him, he's smiling. But he came on set as Paul Edima. Sir, I'm in character. Sorry, sir. And so was it an accident? No, because we always said that we were making an African story for the world. Our stories are good enough for the world. And it's time. We thought that it was high time that we have a film made by Black people, Black faces, Black money 100% for the world. And so it's just a real great privilege for all of us here to be the ones who had done it. Anyone could have done it, but I think it's a privilege that we were the ones who did it.
Very well said. I would like to chip in there from something you said, being an actor myself and working with producers, being trained as an actor to follow the director's orders to the T. He's the Lord on the set. The producer brings you on. Then you grow into the point where you have gathered experience from maybe around the world or across different sets and scenarios and situations, how not to do it, how to do it from different producers and directors. So you have a 360 view, and most producers, directors only understand their perspective of how they tell stories and only know their experiences. So at some point, you leverage the experienced actors to guide to shape certain visions you have, which is what you did here. So this is a note I am taking from that thought process, which is fantastic, having someone like RMD in the space. So that is answered some of the questions I was going to ask you, but I want to ask, there was a balance of sternness and softness with Paul Edima as a character. He has already said that you were immersed in it, even the moment you got on set from day one. While you were working with your experience, did you see the signs from his level of thoroughness and sense of excellence? And considering the fact that it was during the lockdown, it wasn't the most convenient time to be out and about doing stuff like that. How much more with the police? How did all of that affect you? And did you see the signs that this was a potential blockbuster, potential #1 globally on whatever platform he ends? Maybe not thoroughly, but then did you see those signs different from what you've been used to this point?
Well, I just saw a young boy bullying me. Yes, this young man was just bullying me. And I carried out, you said the director is Lord and Master. I went to the set and obeyed everything that I was taught. And he told me that if I obeyed everything he tells me, that we will have a good film. And exactly what I did. So, that's exactly what I did, and I'm glad that I obeyed him. And we got what we wanted.
Well, I hope the young actors are listening to that. He's still following the director's orders, and whatever input he makes, I'm sure they discuss behind the channels. Mama, looking gorgeous as always. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good evening.
Yes, so my question will be, we're used to seeing you in this, different poise, you're the elegant, beautiful, whatever role you play, you always come strong, gorgeous, a lot of substance. This time around, you flip the page on the character, and one wouldn't believe it's the same person they're used to seeing on screen. Same question, the challenges of the times, how did that translate? Did it help the characterization with the constraints you had around the time filming? Did you also see signs of what this film could become, from the plot to execution? Because a lot of times we see great stories as actors, we have great conversations over the phone, and every big scene is like we can't achieve it. Execution falls flat. Seeing it end to end from when you got excited accepting the role, did you see the signs as you were filming?
When you said sometimes we're on set and then it's time to execute a big scene and it falls flat, then you haven't worked with this one. Nothing falls flat. If it's about to fall, sometimes he will call the set off and say, we're going to reshoot this. We did a lot of reshoot. Did we not? How many?
Don't we have other scenes to still shoot?
Yes. Up to months before the film came out, he was still reaching out. I need your voice on this one. I need you to this. I need you to that. He's a perfectionist. And obviously, for those who watched the film, you saw the work that was put into that project. Becoming that character, for me, playing the very wealthy, rich woman, she was still very wealthy and very rich, very vast,
but
very knowledgeable.
With street credibility.
With street credibility. That was the only difference. And he wrote her well. I remember when he told me that, just read the script. Just read the script. I read the script and he said, and I was excited. I didn't know. I thought for a second he was giving me another character. And he said, when we spoke, he said, hello, Big Daddy. And I was excited. Immediately I knew I was playing Big Daddy. I couldn't wait. The character just, she just touched my heart. And I loved her from the beginning.
Thank you. And over to Sam Dede. I have the same question, because your characters were all very distinct. It was like a puzzle piece together in the perfect way. Same circumstances, same scenario, same challenges. How did it feel? You're Don Dada, you're theater professor. You understand end to end of theater, film, stage. Did you see the signs of where the Black Book is today in the world while working, or from the point of accepting the project?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think I saw signs of that. Just like RMD said, the young man was such a bully, in a subtle way. And I didn't meet him, I didn't talk with him until I got on the set of the Black Book. I was always talking with Lala and the PM, Marianne, yeah, So when I got on the set, my first day on the set, of course, I didn't even know he was the director. I met RMD and there was the exchange of, pleasantries, and RMD said, Aggie! And RMD said, that's the director, Editi. I said, oh, okay. And he just looked at me and said, can I have a word with you? Let me take you around. And he took me around the studio where they had built a set, on a sound stage. Pat Nebo, late Pat Nebo, had done incredible work with the set. And as we walked around, he was talking. And I looked at him and said, this is quite ambitious, And he just went, well, okay, you know. But I trusted him from the first day. I knew this was a man who wanted to achieve big things, you know. I said, okay, I will listen to you and let's achieve together. You know, and that's the character you saw in Angel. Angelo, as Paulo would call him, you know. But it was clear from the beginning that we were making a blockbuster, and every sign was there that, because it was quite ambitious. There was a day that we got on the set and nothing was done. And I was just there waiting and waiting and waiting. And each time I peeped on the set what they were shooting, I saw the man. He was 3 times slimmer than this then. You know, I wonder where he got the fat from now. You know, and you know, he kept, and there was Yinka, the DOP, who would always tell you, let's do a 2 for safety. For God's sake, we want to go and sleep, 2 for safety. You know, but it all turned out that hard work is necessary for you to do what you want to do. So that's what you saw in the Black Book.
Okay, fantastic. What I take out of that is process and time. You know, taking your time. Don't be in a hurry to do it. If you're going to do it right, you give it the time it deserves, regardless of the obstacles. So back to you, Editi. I always like to say Hollywood has always been to us a location, you know, the hub, the pivot of the global film, you know, expression. Really, that's where everyone looks to go. Well, as time has evolved, things have changed. I see Hollywood now as a level of execution, regardless of where you are in the world, which is what you have proven for you to $1 million budget 3+ years after filming in Nigeria during COVID, and you're #1 globally on Netflix, above the films made with hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So here you go. So the wood can be anywhere now, right? So where do you think we can go from here with the move you've pulled? You've set a new bar. And Nollywood has always been thriving, but never to this level. What do you think we can do to sustain that position, or give ourselves more opportunities to take on the world on a platform like that?
I think the first thing I have to acknowledge is that making this film, I had a lot of privilege. I could obviously write an ambitious story because I knew I could find the resource to execute. But what that does do, and I guess there's no problem with privilege if you use it properly. And so now, having done this, it's important for me to see it as not just a thing I do for myself, but for the industry. It's important that I share how we raised money, how we executed with the entire industry, which is something I have done consistently and will continue to do. But more importantly, I do think that Hollywood, there's nothing Hollywood does or can do that we cannot. The big differential has always been the resource allocation. If we can make the Black Book with $1 million, I'm wondering what we can do with 5. And there's also access to markets. Now, we can see that given the right resources, right amount of time, we can make a great film out of Nigeria, out of Africa, and it would go to anywhere in the world. Shout out to South Koreans, Brazilians, everywhere. So now that we've seen that, we have to have a conversation about access to distribution for African films. If African films are executed at a global standard, what stops us getting into cinemas in Europe, in America, in Asia? So that is the thing, that's the work that still needs to be done. That's a railroad we still need to build. And if this is a trigger point, I'm excited for what comes next. But summary for me has always been, we can do this if we have the right amount of support and resource. But I'm also a person who does not think that as Africans we should wait for Hollywood to come and help us or Europe to come and help us. I think that we can raise our own money locally. We can train our own actors. We can put our own actors into programs that allow them prepare adequately for work. RMD you did 2 films that year, just only 2, and the one was that you really wanted to do it because it was important for you. You said it was important for you to immerse into this character, and you did immerse. Remember the day we finished, you went and washed your head because you had to like physically take that character out of you because you'd been in it for so long. For Sam Dede, it was a fun story. I think it's important to share. I had visited most of the locations before during the process of writing. I wanted to see these places I want to write, and I would say for writers here, the best thing you can give to yourself is just travel, see new things, buy new ideas with the ticket that you buy to go places. Hi, hello, Sifa. Hi. And going to places like Jos, to Kaduna, to Zamfara inspired up north, Bauchi, helped me write a story, start telling a story about a place that I would normally not have known. Now, so we go to Kujama in Kaduna, and he's sitting waiting for his scene. You know that scene where, that's the militants have come in and he drives in, So he gets to that scene. We're preparing for the scene. The bikes are not there yet. And I'm just sitting with him discussing the scene. And the gates, we were shooting in a farm compound. The gate opens and about 50 bikes drive in with people dressed like militants. So these guys had been costumed before they came to set, and they drove in like boom, boom, boom. And I turn around, where is Sam Dede? But Sam Dede had gone, disappeared. And so I'm looking for this man, and and eventually find him. Where were you? He said, bros, I define water because waiting I see, if I touch that water, I'm in Port Harcourt. And so it is that thing where I think it was important for us to find the right locations because it makes everything look so authentic. The guys, the extras who came in on the bikes look so like militants. All right, thank you.
Thank you. RMD, would you like to add to what he said? How can we sustain this place that we found ourselves in globally?
I have a fear. I don't know if there is anybody from the streaming, if anybody from any of the streaming platforms are here. No? Okay, so I have a fear that there are possibilities that there are gems that have been made by different filmmakers that have not been able to, pass through the doorkeepers for these platforms. I was at a meeting with one of them, and I held one of them and I said, buy Black Book. I beg you, take Black Book. It's important that you take Black Book. And when he saw the passion with which I was talking, he picked up his phone and he called editing. The point I'm making is we don't have to beg, because sometimes there is not that same treatment that they treat third world countries. It's everywhere. So sometimes even the gatekeepers who are our own people, they don't spend enough time to look at the things we are creating. So I'm afraid sometimes that certain things are not getting past the gatekeepers the way it should. I'm not saying that the valve should just be turned on and everything come in, but I think that in making more blockbusters, I think as we are cranking up, they must also crank up the way that they are able to sift through these films as they get them. We don't care if you are doing through an aggregator or whoever, but at least have certain things so that if we tick all the boxes, chances are that we will get, what we deserve finally. But just if I want clap now. I'm sorry. This worry boy didn't come up for somebody said. Okay, anyway, the point is, you don't set out to make a blockbuster, but you set out to do a damn good film, which was what this young man set out to do. And like he said, he always managed to just win our respect, because editing will not calculate money. You can set up, day or 2 or 3, or even going on a break
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, it's a lot of money because the money is just going. But he was so audacious that even at points where we felt, days where you felt like, what, I'm done. Edit it. Thank you, but I'm sorry, I'm done. But you see his audaciousness and you just want to go to keep on. So I guess in making a blockbuster or making a good film, sometimes you have to decide what is more important, right? The film itself, or how much your pocket is burning. You have to find the balance. Aditi should talk more about finding the balance between budget and good film.
Very well said. That can only come from experience, really. Shafi, would you like to add to that? He has spoken, indeed.
Yeah.
Sam Dede?
Yes, okay. I think Editi talked about locations, those locations that we used in filming The Black Book. I remember there was a day I got into Abuja. I was to travel by train to join you guys in Kaduna. And I was going to catch up with the last train to Kaduna that night. And when I got to Abuja, I called Marianne and say, no, I'm not taking this risk. Okay? Book me in the morning, I'll go in the morning to Kaduna. And she said, why? I said, no, I just don't feel up to it. And incidentally, a few weeks after we shot in Kaduna, about 2 weeks, right? There was that hijack. The whole train rails blown off like that. But Kujama, I don't ever forget that place. I want to go back there, And that incident that he talked about, I didn't know that they had costumed over 50 men on bikes. So, I was just trying to get into costume with the young boy, Michael. And each time I talk with Michael, he always reminds me, Uncle, remember that day? I said, shut up. Who ran away first, me or you? And then suddenly the gates opened. I was with Michael and he was talking to me about something, and then they just kept riding in endlessly. I said, no, this must be the real guys. You're not keeping me here one bit. And I vanished into the warehouse, And all I remembered to do was to call that young boy. I said, Michael, follow me. So we disappeared into the warehouse.
What about me? Take care of himself.
Yeah. What about me, man?
I left him there. He's the guy. So I left him in charge of everything there. And we came out only when, I won't tell you where we were hiding, but it was only when I noticed that those guys were smiling as they were coming. And like, okay, Michael, come. No, I made it look like, no, we're not scared of anybody. No, we're here, we're working here. But, that's the kind of fun we had on, in fact, the scene where Paulo was tied up there, and that was at Kujama.
Yeah.
In that warehouse. This is very dusty warehouse, That scene was shot between 12 midnight and about 5 a.m. And from the set, we drove back to the hotel, and in the next 30 minutes, RMD and I were going back to Abuja. And we almost missed the train, back to Abuja. Fond memories we won't ever forget. And then the railway station at Kaduna, fond memories when I used to be a corps member. I was on national service. I used to travel from Jos to Kaduna, so that place was a familiar place to me. And it's all completely run down now, and I don't ever forget those locations. I want to go back there. And when I sat back and watched the Black Book, I told myself I will visit those locations again, just for the sake of, bringing back those fun memories. And, as for this young man here, loads of respect for him. Like I said, he will talk to you in such a way to do it. He will bully you to do it, but in a very subtle way. He used to call me Uncle Angel. Uncle Angel. This and that and that and that, but we got this done, and I'm happy for the result, So
Love it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
So I believe we have a lot of filmmakers in the house, so it's always important to put together the conversations from the experiences and point out where we can do better. What I see here is process end to end. If the locations are right, this costume is right for the characters, and every composition, every component of filmmaking comes together with a sense of excellence. It makes the job a lot easier for the talent that are going to be in front of the screen to shine, and it brings them closer to the character. Uncle Angel was, he believed what he saw, which was a setup for a scene, but it was so real, so you can imagine how that impacts on him as an actor on set, filming that halfway done already before the character meets that.
I think what I can speak to that, just a little to add to that, is that it's a shame we lost Pat Nebo, because he is such an amazing artist. I believe that production design is one of the most important parts of filmmaking, and when you're building the world, once the world is right, and you match costume to character, anything that character does within that set, you believe it. If the world is built right. And so I think we need to pay a lot of attention to that. It's a thing I was speaking to Uncle Pat about, like training production designers, because he is so good at this. You tell him, like months before we shot, about 6 months before then, we walked through the entire set process, and he built miniatures of every single set we're going to shoot at. Yeah, he built miniatures so we could plan our camera movements months ahead.
That's beyond storyboarding.
Months ahead. And so we were meeting every day, myself, Yinka, Joshua, and him, for 6 months. And so he was able to create the worlds that we wanted. For example, Paul's house was shot exterior in Takwa Bay, but we had built everything else in studio, which matched exactly what the location looked like. The police station where Vic visits Paul, when after Paul has been thrown into jail, he built it from scratch. Yeah, it was not a real police station. Actually, apart from the church, nothing was real. He built everything. He built 38 sets. Yeah. The market was not real. Everyone there was an extra. Everything with it was production design. Every single thing for the market. Everything. He built everything. And by creating a world that was believable, you can now say these guys existed in those worlds. And I think that the last thing I guess I would say to that is that we really do need to teach history. Because when I spoke to a filmmaker who told me the thing I didn't believe is that they're retired assassins in Nigeria. Are you sure? Because what I can tell you is that all right, nothing. I wouldn't say anything.
Okay. Okay, a question I have. This question was already set, but everything that's been said here has already proven the audacity that you possess. Yeah, you're just an audacious person. That's why you're back on this project. That's why you can bully out my bosses on set to get them to do what they have to do. But what I picked from watching the film, the part that shook me was your interpretation of the police in a way that you needed to interpret it for the story. And after seeing it and going to search, look you up, I saw on your page that you actually consulted with the police and they gave you the go-ahead. I would like to understand the kind of conversation you had for them to allow that side of the police to be put out in this way. We all understand how the Nigerian police works, so that's why I asked.
I'm very grateful to the IG of police for allowing us to do what we did. He was very instrumental to that, to be honest. I always think that we have to find the right tool for the right job. And we were this close to not actually getting permission from the police. I would have still gone ahead and done this anyway, but it was important to actually do it right because then it allows other filmmakers to be able to explore stories like this in the future. If we had not consulted with them and did this, they would have said, oh, you're portraying us in bad light, and might have had a political situation. But it was important for us to have that conversation, share the script with them, have conversations, and they say, we don't like this, and say, but see how we resolve this. This is how it's good for you. And so I knew that if I had that conversation on my own, it would be difficult. So, and at the time I was reporting from the NSAS panel. I would report on Tuesday. He used to hold Tuesday and Friday. I would report on Tuesday and go to Abuja on Wednesday to go knock on the doors. And on the big day, I didn't go alone. I went with a big dog, my executive producer. And so when we went, I didn't knock on the door, he knocked. And when they saw him, we were so starstruck. They signed the papers. And so I think it was just that thing where you have to find the right tools. You know, if you have to beg someone, you beg them, or you have to appeal to someone's morality, you do it. When we needed to use Isaleko, we brought all the area boys together on the table. They fought when we were negotiating to pay them for the work they would do. We didn't bribe them. We said, okay, every street you provide extras. You be an extra coordinator, make sure that everyone, practices what they're supposed to do. We give practice notes, we give videos for them to practice, things like that. And on the day of when we arrived, all the area boys showed up to work. No one fought there, but on the day we brought the money, they fought. I'll just sit by and watch them fighting, and then when we were done fighting, I was like, okay, can we do business now? And they were like, okay. So it's that, I think, preparation, you should find the right tools at every point, because one single tool would not work for everything. So if you're dealing with area boys, you deal with them. You're dealing with the army, you deal with them differently. We're dealing with the police. You find the tool that works for them.
Oh, fantastic. So what I take away from here is collaboration, filmmaking is a collaborative process, but beyond having the actor, the director, and the crew collaborating, producers should also know when to leverage the kind of talent they have to access, opportunities that could enhance the film on the back channel. That's why it's okay to discuss back-end deals with the actor, tie them in beyond just the face. It's always easy to say, oh, RMD, oh, he sells out cinemas, he sells out on Netflix, and you just hire him for the purpose and pay him for the purpose. But there's a lot more that he has in his arsenal that can lend to the project, for a decent deal. I mean, there's 1% of 100 is better than 100 of nothing. So it's important we learn that collaboration runs beyond the production itself. Pre-production stage, there can be collaboration when you know the cast that you have. So that's really good. I would like to throw this open now because I think we can go on and on if we don't stop here to the audience in case anyone has any question to ask. Okay, I'm not sure where we start. Okay, the lady, see you first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adebinkpe Adebambo. Okay. It's so nice to be here. So a question I would like to ask is, because normally in Nollywood, there's a lot of hush-hush. Like in Hollywood, okay, there's a Washington for a picture, he gets this, like amount. So, and okay, there are A-list actors, B-list actors. So in Nollywood and with your experience, like on this, like when you were working with, like big people like Uncle RMD, Mama Shafi Bello and all, is it that, did you have to speak with agents? Do they have like a certain fee like, when I do features, I'm 50 million, so like, because upcoming filmmakers, if let's say you want to get people like this, on your set, because we should aspire, we should, dream. You wouldn't know what to pay. How do you go, like about it? Because as I said, we don't know directors' fees, we don't know actors' fees and all. So I don't know if it's something that you can share because we just know $1 million. We don't know how it was. I'm not saying you should give us a breakdown, but I'm also particular about like the actors and like the film technicians. How does it go? Like Yinka Edward, I will know that it's not particularly cheap, but what is his money? Uncle Patney, but what? So
He's not cheap at all.
Thank you. So if you can help us.
But you've seen his work. It wasn't cheap work. And so I believe strongly that artists should be paid for their work. And for as much as I can help it, for as much as I can help it, I'm going to try to pay the people I work with as much as I can pay, because I don't think that they are paid enough. And I want to think that the standard we set for compensation should be the baseline for the industry. But we still are not paying enough. And it comes down to the exit options for films. Take a film like The Black Book. How many distribution channels could actually return investment for that film? In Nigeria, none. The only way to sell a film like that is streaming. And how many big tentpole projects can you do a year in Nollywood? And so it's an economic thing, obviously. The Nigerian economy is not doing what it should do. And so if we were, take a step back, if we were making this film in 2015, we would have had better exit options. And so I do think that there's a thing to be said about the state of the economy and also optimizing for markets. The big challenge, obviously, is how do we open our pictures to global markets, and we do that by investing, taking those big swings. The Black Book is just one. Take a big swing that allows the world to believe that a picture from Africa can become a global top seller, to have a 70x efficiency. That way, A Hollywood studio that says, okay, I'm going to invest 100 million in this really big picture, but I have this 5. I want to find a Nigerian studio to collaborate with to do 2 pictures. That Nigerian studio, I would always say, bring your own money. Please don't allow anyone come in and throw money at you. If a Hollywood studio brings $1 million, bring $1 million, find it. Why? Because when you get on that table to negotiate, you want to be in the room. You want to have skin in the game. It also motivates you. Every day, however hard it was for me, it was my money. It was my money. I wasn't going to let it burn. So I would wake up, however hard it was, and find the next gear to go. So it's important for us to be on the table. We also have to find those new markets to take our pictures to. We need to absolutely find new markets for our pictures. And I guess that's why Afrif is here. Hola, Choma, thank you very much. We need to find new markets for our pictures. One day, the Nigerian economy will be back to where it used to be, and we may not even need anyone else. But until then, let's find new markets. Thank you.
But I really wanted to say
Piers,
something.
your question on compensation. I don't think this man wants to tell us how much he earns. Kidnappers are around, you know? So let's have that conversation offline. Yeah? Thank you very much.
Shafi?
I think as a producer, you're asking, okay, if I wanted to do a project, how do I know if I can afford a Shafi Bello? Is that what it is? I think what it is if I, as an actor, have an agent or have a manager, that's probably your best bet. Or if we have a conversation, I shot a movie prior to Back Book with Aditi, a short film. So we had a relationship. So when the Black Book was going to happen, he had reached out to me. Then he had the producer of the project reach out to me for negotiation. Now, some people I personally will negotiate with. A Sam Dede can't want to shoot a film, and I ask him, well, maybe I'm old school, but a Sam Dede can't want to shoot a film and ask me and call me, and I say, I'll let you speak to my management. This is Africa. Let's call a spade a spade. I will respond to him. I will not divert him to my management. That's me personally. So it's a personal thing. So I can have an arrangement with him. Sis, look, I know what you're worth. This is what it is. This is what I can now say, bro, can you up it a bit? Yeah, but if you would like to know what everybody makes, that's a bit difficult. That's you as a producer calling other producers or calling your actors. Call your talents and have a discussion with them. And if your talent doesn't negotiate, speak to the management. By the time you speak to 3 or 4 management, you sort of have an idea of what you're dealing with and what the budget would be for what I make is not what the next person makes. Do you get what I'm saying? There's actually no structure for it.
Can I just amend that as well? So there are a few of us who would do your film for free.
Yeah.
If a student approaches me with a short, I will even give the student money to shoot the film for the student. So it's a rule. If you're an actor and you are doing a film, if Enyina comes to me that he's doing his film, I will do it for him as Popsy and Son level. Same with me. If a student comes to me, I will never charge a student. I will even help the student. I've done free films for students and for young producers and for young actors. So let's not get it twisted. What we want, what actors like everybody else wants, is a structure. There's nothing really wrong with you calling my agent, but like Shafi said, respect those who are behind the project. There is a young actor, for instance, in this festival now, who a producer is using to get to me because he knows that the young actor is like my son. So when he calls me, he says, Papa, I need you to do a film. You will like this one. So if the stories are good, actors are all suckers for good stories. I don't think we discussed money for the longest time. Once the story is good, you have locked the actor. Okay? So you will always see, there's no money you are going to pay anybody here in today's Nigeria, in today's Nollywood, that we say is big money. I jokingly spoke with Uncle Mahmoud Adibalogu earlier today, and he says, oh boy, I will come join you soon, I will act again. We used to act together. And I said, if not because of money, you go poor. And that's the truth. Actors will do other things, get endorsement and all of that. But we love the work too much for us to not be able to work according to your budget, you know? Buck wild.
Thank you very much, RMD. So one question from...
Thank you.
Okay, two more. So
good evening, everyone. And first of all, I'd like to say congratulations. My name is Tominsi Aderuku. I would like to say congratulations to you, Editi, for the success of the film, and also to everyone on the cast and crew who made this film possible. Special thanks as well to you, Mr. RMD. For me, I've always watched you when I was young, and to see your last thing on the screen up to this point for me is something to be admired. My question to you, Editi, is about the writing process. You spoke about story, that actors are always attracted by a good story. What's your writing process like, Editi, for you? What's it like? You spoke about you traveled, having the opportunity to travel and to visit locations that actually inspired or influenced your writing process. But what other things worked for you to develop the story to what it is? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that I believe that everything you have ever done in your life brings you to this moment.
Absolutely.
Everything you've imputed into your life. So for the Black Book, what are the things that got me to this place? I grew up in a house where my father was had a master's degree in linguistics and had books. I read Things Fall Apart. I was 10 years old. I read A Man Died when I was 14. So I read everything written by on the African Writers series before I was 12 years old. Everything. All of that got me here. I started writing when I was 10 because the obvious evolution from you've read so much is to start writing. So there's that. Growing up in secondary school, I was reading a lot of Tell magazine, Newswatch, and then I was listening to Radio Kurirat. If you listen to Radio Kurirat, let me see your hand. Thank you very much. See, you're old. And then so Radio Kurirat kind of radicalized my thinking. I was 13 when secret police came to my school to shut down our press club because we weren't friendly to the government of the day then. It was military government. And so it planted in you the seed. And then, of course, reading a lot of Tell magazine, Newswatch does things to you. So all those inputs into you is what would come into what you create in the future. So, and this is just talking about the Black Book. And people think because I wrote from the NSAS panel is why I made the Black Book. No, the Black Book script was written mostly in 2019. Myself and Bumi. However, I worked in the tech industry where every tech company has almost a budget for going to bill their programmers, designers from police. This is true. I used to do the same myself. And so it was a story that it was important to me, coming from the industry I come from, to tell. Social consciousness, knowing that I may never use the public bus, but I would always fight to have a bus on the road, just in case one day I need to. I believe that that is very important as writers. Film is a pulpit. Film is a pulpit, and we must never forget that. And so it's important to be socially conscious and to understand our communities and impact our communities through the stories that we tell. Because if we do not, society must be reflected in our pictures, and our pictures must help us shape society. And so if you ask me what my process is, my process would be just going back into the things that have fed into my soul. And that is, if you've seen everything I have written, everything I've created, you'll see that reflected. Up North was a reflection of my travel around Nigeria. Fishbone, I visited Makoko, and I was like, no way. And besides making Fishbone, I actually made a corporate ad for my clients, sponsor of the event, Access Bank. It was the first time a corporate bank ad was shot in a community like that. Bank ads are usually very flashy. I said, no, we have to, our advertising has to reflect our communities, and we have to reflect the poorest of us in the pitch stories that we tell. It's one of the most successful bank ads ever created. And because it was successful because people could see themselves in that ad. You know, so that is the process. I think the process is not just, write a 3-step structure. No, it is in the things that we feed into ourselves. When you feed great stories into yourself, great values into ourselves, it comes out in the stories that we tell. Thank you.
That's brilliantly said. Yeah. Film, no better tool to shape and shift perception than film. It has all the human elements, and how much more if it's coming from the depth, like you said, of intentionality and all the build-up and garbage in, garbage out, right? Value in, value out. It's all about where you direct it, which is very well said. But before we take the last question from the audience, hold tight. Editi and RMD have a big announcement to make right after this panel. So if you were thinking of stepping out, just hold tight.
Okay.
You, sir?
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Who's talking?
Yeah. Okay.
Here first, please. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. My thoughts are really more of a comment than a question. I'd like to clear from you that that's okay. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So, taking from feedback about contracting talent, engaging them, pricing, and all of that stuff. So these are my thoughts, and I'll speak from 2-3 different perspectives. When I wear the hat of a producer, I want to buzz and say, bros, my project, help me out. I want to get favors. I want to get rebates so that I can wrap up my project within reasonable budget. But I also wear another hat as a talent manager. And if my client calls me to say, I want to participate in this movie, I like the story, offer a rebate or waive the fees, or I'll be speaking to this person myself, right? And you strip my company of the statutory role of doing the needful to, first and foremost, protect your participation. When I say protect your participation, there are all kinds of details. I'm more from the music side, so we have our technical writers, we have our, our gear list, we have our tech specs, we have, hospitality writers, we have security details and all of that to the T, right? So when a guy buzzes me and says, my guy, one of my chairman, want to make a come, run one thing for him, make we just run him. I'm unable to control the processes. Where you're picked up, how you're picked up, a lot of all of those details are out of my hand. I'm unable to extract maximum value for your participation. So I think she did mention something, but she said, I'm old school. And amongst the us that are a bit older in the industry, we have that sense of community, and we do a lot for one another. But I also think that there's an inherent danger in not finding a balance in how that is done, because talent is greatly underpriced. The times I might not get funds from you, but I'm able to negotiate on behalf of an RMD and get a back-end deal and get some other stuff that, details that he might not pay attention to, right? So when you strip me as a manager of the opportunity to interface with a colleague, because he or she is a colleague and a respected colleague, the business of filmmaking is very broad-based, all kinds of interests. So it might be his theme at a level, But at some other level, so there are other interests and other stuff. So and so for a couple of now for the music industry, there are younger dudes now that play by different rules. So I want to book a younger talent now. They throw the book at me. They don't care if you're Morogbe. Like they don't really care, right? So sometimes we want to grumble, but my attitude is that there's a lot we can learn from the way. And if you look at it seriously, the capacity to earn what a music artist with a hit record makes in a year today is probably equal to what an artist 10 years ago with 3 hit records can actually make in terms of value from the same level of stardom and exposure and all of that. So I think there might be a place for finding a bit of a balance, a bit more professionalism, a bit more of all of that so that we can all grow together. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said.
I think I wanted to respond to that. So when I said that, I think maybe you got it twisted. Maybe there was no structure to the way that we build. There is. I don't do free work. I'm not in this business to do free work, obviously. We all have management. And for those who don't, they have, you can probably negotiate and speak for yourself. So yes, of course I have management. But the example that I gave was once in a while, you do these jobs that's not going to pay you exactly what you're asking for. And that's all I'm saying.
I think that there is indeed some balance. In my experience, in our industry, people have agents, people have management. And an example is that my producer is somewhere in there. We're packaging a show. I'm done with the story. I'm trying to get a writer to do it because he thought that it's not a good use of my time to write this. Now, the writer we settled on is represented at the time, my agent at the time, is represented by the same guy. And so my agent would negotiate because I'm trying to hire this writer. He's my agent. He's his agent. He treated me like a complete stranger. Editi, for this deal, you are a client. So, and he hard negotiated with me and the producer, who we're all within the same circle of friends. We're all friends, but we sent emails. We're negotiating by email. He collected dollars from my hand.
You're a big boy now.
But so that exists. I am a man. I think that it's important for this thing to evolve. We're going to have that evolution until the entire industry, optimizes and standardizes. We need that streamlining to happen. But obviously, not everyone can afford to do that. And I always say this: some people have that privilege. And if you do have the privilege to pay people better, I think you have a responsibility to do so, because by doing that, you are placing more building blocks for the industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll have to wrap this up. We've gone past our time. So very well said. This is a brilliant panel. I hope we picked up a lot from this and how to make Nollywood blockbuster. So I'll give the stage to Editi and RMD. They have a big announcement to make.
March 2020, we met. And we talked about this thing that we wanted to do, and we ended up doing it. And it's been more successful than we thought it would be. And we've decided to take it a step further. We're working on our next project together. But that's not the announcement. Recently, we had a small deal. It was one single phone call, where RMD decided he's no longer doing production. So I haven't found the word for what we have done. It's called an M&A, but Anago Films is taking over the assets of RMD Productions and the biggest announcement is that Mr. Richard Mofe-Damijo is now the chairman of Anago Films.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Aggie.
Thank you, RMD. Thank you, Editi. Thank you, Shafi. Thank you, Sam Dede. This was a really, really, really great panel discussion. So, pictures, please.
Yes, please. Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's panels. We will see you tomorrow here at 10 a.m. Thank you so much. This Hi, can we please take the conversation